detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us. After four films of Dolph, we've finally gone for something a little more. Would you say? I'd say, higher,
Palatable?
higher end,
Yeah.
higher brow. Tonight's film is Alien Romulus from 2024. Now, Jared, I'm on leave, so I've got a bit of stuff I've watched. I watched Back in Action. Remember I pissed and moaned about Back in Action to you and told you that it was going to be a pile of shit?
Yep.
And then day one, watched it.
Of course you did.
It
can't help yourself.
It was garbage.
You are under the Netflix spell, mate. I'll throw it up. You'll watch it.
I'll watch it. It was absolute garbage. We've seen this exact same plot about fucking 10 times in the last couple of years. And you sent me that article about how Netflix has kind of ruined film.
Well, ruined their own
film.
films.
Yeah, they've created this kind of template. And there was quite a number of things in there where I was kind of like, my God, like I can't believe that this is the truth. And one of them was that there's notes, script notes to people saying, we need you to put in something about this because people won't be looking at the screen.
Yeah, you need to have characters talking about what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this had tons of that.
Yeah.
Tons of it. Like, if I'd have looked away from the screen, I'm sure I still would have known what was going on.
Yeah.
It also has the old classic, Jared, of let's hire a reasonably well-known actor, take them out early, and then expect them to return, which is exactly what I anticipated. As soon as that well-known actor was quickly removed, I thought he'll be back, and he was back.
Okay.
Cameron Diaz has been out of movie making for 10 years. And I have no idea, apart from a paycheck, a very large paycheck, why you would consider this.
Well, that's it.
It must be the
she'll
paycheck.
collect the paycheck and then she'll be gone for 20.
Yeah, she probably will. She'll probably fucking move on. But it was just, it's hard to say really bad. It just was there, which I think is an even worse critique of it. It's just sitting there.
Just another one in the machine, mate.
Yeah. Now, speaking of shit, for some reason I fell upon a action thriller called Stowaway, which had neither action nor thrills for 90 minutes.
Good.
It was kind of like, this girl inherits a boat from her father, then it gets hijacked. It's got Frankie Grillo in it. It was fucking boring and the only good part is Frank Grillo, who's in it for maybe 10 minutes total. I'm not quite sure why I decided to watch it, but I think I was fucking bored and I was probably doing other things.
You were bored, so you decided to bore yourself even
more bored. I watched a horror film also on Netflix called The Remaining, which was all right. It was okay. It was kind of like people go, this group of friends go to a wedding and then almost like an apocalypse kind of happens and they get sort of trapped at the venue and we're trying to work out what's going on. It was all right. It was actually all right. I watched Tour de Pharmacy.
Loved it?
Loved it. Tour de Pharmacy was piss funny.
Yeah.
Like, it was piss funny.
Yep.
Gustav Ditters, both John Cena's version and Dolph Lundgren's version, very funny. Like, very funny. Especially that scene where he goes fucking apeshit and starts belting everybody and carrying a bloke on his shoulders with his dick hanging out.
Yeah.
And it cuts to Lundgren and he goes, everything I did that day was in self-defense.
I can't. I just got a memory of it cutting to the Cena for the first time in like his gear.
Yeah.
And I just fucking burst out laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also got a piss funny fucking sequence involving Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
As the guy who runs the head of doping.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting there. He's in a press conference. They're saying, so you were given money to stop people, and if you were given money, people were not drug tested. And he goes, yes, that's correct. Oh, shit. No, no, I mean, no, that's not true. he just consistently fucking bums it up. But yeah, it was funny. It was actually really funny. I then watched 7 Days in Hell. 7 Days of Hell, which was the other one from the same guys.
Yeah.
Not as funny.
Not as good.
No, not as good. It's got some moments, but
Needed some ditters, I thought.
it needed something, but it just wasn't quite as humorous.
Yeah.
Like the idea was kind of funny, but it was just kind of once you got into the joke, it didn't really nail it. Then I watched Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Yeah, I know. I was looking for something to laugh at, and unfortunately, I realised this was not to be laughed at. It just, it started all right, and then it just kind of fucking fell off a cliff and wasn't funny. And there's good actors in it. Like, again, I look at Zac Efron and I think, what were you doing? And then I looked back through his resume around that time. He was just making a shitload of these turds. Bad Neighbours, fucking Dirty Grandpa. Like, I'm like, well, what were you thinking, mate? And the other guy, he's an acquired taste, that Adam Devine.
Yeah.
He can be really funny in some moments.
Small doses, I think.
But then when you have to, like, he's one of the stars and it's just too much of him.
Yeah.
Too much. So, yeah, that wasn't good. And that was it for me.
Right.
What do you got?
Well, I stayed away from movies for a while after Dolph.
Oh.
I needed a break. I needed a recovery period after 4 films.
So you're telling me watching Dolph get his ass paddled while he's tied up is not sort of making you want to watch more film?
I had to step away.
You had to step away, yeah.
So I fell into the arms of paranormal crime documentaries.
Oh, yes. I noticed that was on, because I was watching a true crime documentary called Me Hereafter. Yeah. And I noticed that one was there.
Yes.
And I was like, I might have to have a look.
It's actually all right. The episodes fluctuate a little bit in quality, but, it's not necessarily an exploration of crimes that I think were involving anything paranormal. But it does a good job of talking to the people that firmly believe it, but then talking to other people who are explaining this is how some of this stuff takes hold.
Yes.
And, plausible explanations. The most recent one that I finished was about lizard people. But it put like 2 examples against each other. One that the town had sort of turned into like a mascot. And had kind of turned something positive for the town, and another that turned fucking very, very bad and was more related to the internet. And so they delved into how people start believing this stuff and the fucking consequences if you don't.
Should I watch the lizard people one?
I think you should. Basically, the consequences if this shit goes unchecked.
Yes.
This misinformation gets to people looking for a fucking community. And the fucking disastrous results that this produced on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
It's great that fucking all our social media things are going to be fucking unregulated and misinformation just flowing. So that was pretty good actually. There was another episode that wasn't too bad about a kid that disappeared, and around the same time there was a guy that reported a sighting of what they labeled the Tennessee wild man, which started basically like he'd seen a Bigfoot, right? But then, again, comes from this other angle of there's a real history of wild men sort of around this area based around people that actually used to live in the Smoky Mountains before it was a national park.
So we're talking about guys who are fucking off the grid.
Yeah. People that have basically just
so they're not
off the grid.
Bigfoot, they're fucking people who have gone unchecked for a long time.
Yeah, so, and this one was saying, it had people saying, look, it had rangers that worked there for 20 years that were like we never saw anything, never saw structures, never saw people, nothing. But then, you always got other people that swear black and blue. I saw a fucking feral person and all this sort of shit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It doesn't lean one way or another. It just presents 2 sides almost to every episode, which is pretty good.
That's all right.
Outside of that, I watched one movie. A full moon feature. Of course, I needed to step away, but then I decided to step back into a full moon feature. But this one was a really interesting...
You stepped away, you sat down in a big pile of shit.
Yeah, no, well, it was a really interesting one because it was the one that took like 50 years to make. It was
50 years?
It was called Primeavals, and it was like a passion project for this effects guy. I think his name is Dave Allen, who knew Charles Band and worked with Charles Band. And so he'd started this stop motion thing.
Oh, okay.
And then it kind of stopped and started like in the 80s. They'd put a reel, I think the 70s and 80s perhaps, they'd put reels together. He'd done some of the work. Charles Band started filming it in like 94, and then it got shelved.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally he just fucking recently, Dave Allen had passed away, and recently
Dusted
he
it
just
off.
said, let's finish it. So they finished it. The end result isn't good. It's like it's fun. It's fun enough.
Did you
But
tell me that you fell asleep?
I did
Kieran?
fall asleep, but that was more related to the fact that I'd been awake for a while. But no, look, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but
Yeah.
it was really interesting because you could see it wasn't really finished.
Okay.
But the effects, the stop motion stuff looks pretty good, and the effects of putting it all together were pretty solid. But you could see it wasn't really finished. There was a particular character in there who the entire movie she just fucking spent explaining things. Her whole role was just to bloody tell us what was happening, basically. Like, I'm talking towards the end of the picture, we fucking stumble upon these things and she's there going, oh, this has happened. It's this. Look, I can see from what they're doing that this, and this. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't see any of that. Like, it's just her whole role was basically to talk through what was happening while some of the stop motion things were going on.
Okay.
So, like I said, it wasn't what I would say was a good film, but it was enjoyable and it was kind of a fun experience to see something that had fucking taken so long to put together and how they managed to brush it up into something that's pretty passable, I would have thought.
Okay.
So that was it for me.
All right. Let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2024's Alien Romulus.
Alien Romulus. They hunt. They breed. They kill. In 10 days.
Oh my God.
Once they grab hold, they never let go. Alien Romulus. Rated R.
Alien Romulus from 2024, directed by Fede Alvarez, who directed Don't Breathe. It's produced by Walter Hill, who produced Last Man Standing, Michael Pruss, who produced Gladiator 2, and Ridley Scott, who produced Boston Strangler. It's written by Fede Alvarez and Rodo Savages, who wrote Evil Dead, the remake, and it's based on characters created by Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. It stars Callie Spini as Rain, David Jonasson as Andy, Archie Renault as Tyler, and Isabella Merced as Kay. The budget was $80 million, and the box office was $350 million. Director Fede Alvarez sought out the special effects crew from Aliens to work on the creatures. Physical sets, practical creatures, and miniatures were used whenever possible to help ground later VFX work. Jared, thoughts? Alien Romulus.
I'm a fan. I quite liked it. I've seen it a couple of times now. Not going to push back on things that say it's derivative and it's, you know, taking bits and pieces from the other Alien movies. But there was a lot of parts where I thought that's okay. Like it gave me some familiarity in senses that I wanted, like the ships and stuff. They looked like what I kind of hoped they would look like. You know, I think Fede Alvarez has proved himself to be a bit of a deft hand when it comes to sort of some action and some ramping up of some stakes and you know, getting my blood pumping. And anyway, you know, the heart's pumping when it needs to be and that sort of thing. But I also think there's a couple of characters in particular that you're really on board with and that are happy to spend a couple of hours with and see them sort of go through this little part of the Alien universe, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think I would go 3.5, but there's definitely portions of the movie where I was like, "Fuck, she's a 4-star." Like, I'm quite positive on it.
Yep, me too. I went 4 out of 5. This is the best Alien movie since Aliens. It's not quite at that top level with Alien and Aliens, but it fits nicely. If you wanted to watch those 3 in a row, you'd have fucking hit the nail right on the head.
Yes.
With the quality of the series. Considering this is like the 9th movie, and the first 2 were made, 30-something years ago?
Yeah.
30 or almost 40 years ago. It's a big achievement. Yes, it does have a bit of a greatest hits feel at times. And I think character-wise, it's probably a little lacking apart from
In some ways, yeah.
yeah, like some of it's very generic, but then again, someone like Rain and Andy, those things work well.
Yes.
But it's the set pieces where he fucking thrives. Like the zero gravity set piece is fucking awesome. Like it is on par, if not better, than some of the stuff even in Aliens, which is to me that's the top of the mark. Aliens. That sequence alone, like that sequence on its own, I would be like that would fit in fucking perfectly. Really, really good stuff. And I think it still also does reasonably well with atmosphere and that feel of the first couple of movies. So yeah, I gave it 4. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's. I agree with what you said about the greatest hits, but part of me was fucking longing for that after I had to sit through.
Some of the fucking recent stuff's just poop, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Like the Prometheuses and the Covenants and all this sort of stuff.
some people like Prometheus. I can see some of the things that they like about it, but there was a lot of that I found pretty fucking boring. And Covenant, don't even fucking start me.
Yeah. That was not good stuff.
I was not a fan of
the
Covenant
series
at all.
was kind of in the doldrums.
Yeah.
By maybe not financially, because I think both of those movies did well.
Yeah. So
But
just going back and hitting me with a familiar recipe, a little bit of comfort food.
I feel like with regards to that, because I had that in my dislikes as a minor dislike, but it's also kind of a like. Some of it works a treat.
Yeah.
Like you needed some of that.
Yes.
And you needed to grab some of the fans of those first 2 movies just with those little touches. I feel like you did need some of it.
Nodding to things like the Alien Isolation game.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good move.
Yeah,
like,
they're good moves.
That's something that massive Alien fans, there's probably massive Alien fans out there that don't play video games.
Yes.
So squeezing something like that in might prompt some of them to kind of delve into some of that good stuff that exists outside the films, or just, if it's nothing else, it's a nice little nod to people that have added something to the franchise along the way.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with saying, hey, you did something, I'm going to borrow the design of the bloody door handle or whatever it was that you did and chuck it in the movie just to give you a little wink to say, I noticed what you did and I like it. I don't see anything wrong with that. You know?
I think the things that were less successful as far as the greatest hits package, well, not necessarily less successful, but it did play a couple of sort of plot points and bits and pieces here and there that felt like they came from those first couple of films.
Yes.
That was probably the less successful angle I'm talking about. But as far as some of the other stuff, you needed some of that to me. So diving into the likes, look, I'm going to be honest, I hadn't taken a lot of notes in that early phase. So please jump in about things you like there. I'm going to go with some very generic things early. And then when I got plenty of notes out of that portion that I did take notes in.
Yeah.
Solid actors.
Yeah.
Young actors, not what you would call experienced looking at their resumes, but they all deliver solid performances.
I mean, I would single out Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson, I think his name is.
Yeah, Johnson, yeah.
As Rain and Andy. I thought
they were good.
Carried the thing.
They were good. In fact, Andy was
pretty good.
Andy was fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Because he had to change it up every time they changed the chip in his neck.
Yeah.
And he had to do things slightly differently. And he really nailed that. I think he did a really good job there.
Yep. And I think singling them out for the performances, but the relationship with those two really kind of carries it through.
Yes. And that's the one they really get right.
Yeah, and something that you kind of invested in, and I really liked it. That they started with the siblings angle, so I was like, okay, so it's an adoption sort of scenario, and then they quickly pivot to no, it's a synthetic.
Yeah.
And it's treated in a little bit of a different fashion than we've seen previously. Like we haven't seen. I thought I quite liked the scenario of a father who, I take it that, and I'm reading some into this, I take it that he was passed away quite some time ago, but that he ensured that his daughter would have a family, essentially, by using the synthetic. Yeah. Which I thought was cool.
Yeah. I didn't mind his little jokes either. Early on, where he's constantly fucking following her around, telling her these sort of random, really sort of silly jokes.
Yeah.
VFX are top class. Like all the visual stuff is really, really good. They certainly don't pinch pennies on that front, and so are the practical effects. It's clear that they've used quite a bit of CGI here and there.
Yeah.
But they've also obviously used plenty of practical as well. And so it melds in quite nicely. There's only one effects thing that I was a little bit kind of, that's not looking real flash.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's done deliberately, to be honest.
Well, I'm taking the focus off the kerfuffle about the Ian Holmes CGI. I feel like takes the focus off the other stuff that's all, for the most part, all
top
really
notch.
good.
That stuff's really good.
Yeah.
Everything that they do from the, as I said, all the space stuff, the ships, the aliens themselves, the face huggers, they all look spot on. Like the aliens and the face huggers and that, that they've really replicated what's in Aliens, especially.
Yeah.
Directed with style.
Yeah.
I would say Fetty finds a nice style. He doesn't quite. He occasionally apes a shot here and there from the other two.
Yep.
But he does enough to carve out his own niche into the series.
I think he has some good moments.
He has some
Especially,
really good moments.
he uses Andy really well a couple of times for almost like sort of jump scares or just kind of.
Yeah, they run into Andy suddenly and things like that.
Yeah, running into Andy suddenly, the part where Andy freezes and then just fucking comes good at the right moment.
Yeah.
I thought that was all pretty good. And as you pointed out, the set pieces, I think he's pretty good with the set pieces. I also think he takes his time revealing the aliens. Like,
Yes.
the face huggers they're fucking hot to trot from the second
From the
we
get-go.
fucking see him. But the alien he actually kind of takes a little bit of time with and uses a couple of nice little shots in the background or on the monitor and things like that.
Yeah.
To just sort of get us going. And when we know it's gonna fucking ramp up at some point. But I thought he did it pretty well.
Yeah, agreed. Now, when the face huggers, the movie really ramps up when the face huggers finally sort of burst out.
Yeah.
And that sequence involving they're trapped in the face huggers
In that cryo
in that
lab,
cryo
or whatever,
lab,
that's a red
and
light,
they're
isn't it?
fucking old mate's got the bloody stun
Yep.
thing trying to fucking get them off.
Yep.
That is top notch.
Yeah,
And
I thought that was good.
I love the way they kind of give you a couple of like. It almost gets one bloke. It almost gets the bully kid or I can't remember his
Bjorn.
name. It almost gets him.
Yep.
Then it almost gets Tyler.
Yep.
It sort of he's got his head turned and it's that fucking thing's going.
Yeah.
And then everyone does the Harry Holt and you think they're going to be right.
Yeah.
And it
They just
flies through the
bust through
fucking thing,
door.
goes poof,
Yeah.
and just immediately lands on Navarro's face.
Yeah. Well, I liked that too because he doesn't hide what's in the room.
No.
And there's not really any point because we know it's going to be face huggers and aliens. So that's kind of what I appreciated about the fact that he was giving us some familiar stuff. He's not necessarily trying to hide it. Even when he's, using the shots of the alien in the background, it's just to ramp up a little bit of tension. He's not hiding anything about it.
Well, I mean, any movie called Alien Romulus from this series, let's just do away with trying to fucking sort of keep it in the dark. And I
Yeah.
think he does.
So
you know,
he just presents to us, hey,
Wise
this
move.
is a room full of fucking face huggers, but at the moment they're all contained.
Yeah.
So that in itself gives you a little bit of a, you tighten up a bit going, oh, okay, you got to get out of there pretty quickly. And then it just all got to kind of goes to hell, which I thought was good. I think just backing up a touch, I think the fact that we get into the plan really quickly and over a 2-hour runtime, for the first time in a while, Adam, I'm not going to say it was too long.
No.
It's pretty brisk, even when the story kind of halts for a
For a bit of
set
exposition
piece,
or a little set piece or something.
it's usually handled at a pretty good pace. Like we're getting from step
pacing-
to step pretty
Pacing
strong.
is pretty solid here.
Yeah.
It takes about 45 minutes before things start to
Yeah.
go south.
But we sort of, we establish the group, we establish their plan, we see
Yeah.
why, Kaylee Spaney would foolishly jump onto the ship because, they do a good job of, pointing out that, well, Wayland Yutani are still a bunch of pricks.
Yeah.
They're not holding up their end and give you a reason that she would do this.
Yeah.
The group seems ill prepared, but it's believable because it's like a bunch of young people who are being treated like shit by the company. So
Yeah.
they'll take this risk, even though, yeah, they got a little bit of info, but they're fucking ill prepared. They don't know anything really.
No.
So they venture out. And I think, yeah, it's sort of that contract situation just sort of illustrates very quickly like a desperation that would make you just say, fuck, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Screw
I would
it.
agree.
We'll give it a crack. So, yeah, I think all of that adds up to a pretty quick pace for 2 hours worth of.
Yeah.
Worth
It
of
certainly
movie.
didn't drag at any point, in my opinion. Now, I like the tying everything back to the first movie via the synthetic and actually, talking us through the Nostromo and everything like that, and actually having the alien there. He shows the alien, after it had been shot and everything like that, and then they brought it in and it fucking went ape shit again and, thawed itself out and killed everyone. And I liked all that. It just sort of touched back on the first movie.
Yep.
And then set us up for this one, right? For the shit ahead.
Yeah, look, I'm throwing it out there. Like, I know some people were just vehemently against the thing looking like Ash and using Ian Holmes' visage. Some people just hate it from an ethical standpoint.
Yeah. Look,
I'm not there. Like, I understand there's issues around it, but I also understand that he's probably got a family who
they were
he's
spoken
looking
to about
after
it,
from beyond. And
And
I'm
they
sure
were
he probably
happy?
would have. I'm sure there's actors who would have told their family, "Hey, if you can make a fucking red cent off my image to
Do
look
so.
after you,
Yeah.
do it." So I think there's a point from that side of it too. Removing all that, I didn't have an issue that he looked like Ash
No, I didn't have an issue with that at all. In fact, I think that was more appropriate.
because I think it's sort of shorthand. I mean, there's never a suggestion that it's Ash.
No.
But there's a suggestion. It's like the Terminator, right? Where they're punching them out. There's scenes in the Terminator where they're punching them all out and they all look like Arnie and things like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issue with kind of making it like this is a model of a synthetic.
Yes.
And it's kind of shorthand for us to say, fuck, you can't trust this. This is a bad... Because we didn't really need... I mean, there's probably other ways to make it just a standard synthetic and get us to very quickly, this is a bad one. But it was just shorthand to say, right, this one's not to be trusted. So very quickly we take this chip and we put it into Andy and there's a hint of fuck.
Yeah.
It's shorthand and I thought I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't need any fucking... I didn't think there was any room for any vagaries around whether a new synth was good or bad. So I felt like Fede Alvarez was just saying, this is bad news.
Yes.
So the little chip by extension that goes into Andy then throws the vagaries up of, all right, well, what's going to happen to him?
Yeah, what's he going to do?
So I was fine with all of that.
No, I was okay with it looking like... In fact, I thought it was better because it's like, well, that brings me back to part one.
Yeah.
And this is a prequel.
Well, it puts you
is
in
that
the
not,
time frame.
Is that not is this not a prequel
It's in between
to part...
Alien and Aliens.
Yes. So
Yeah.
pre-Aliens, yeah.
Yes.
So I was going to say, okay, they could have gone with Lance Henriksen, but then I was like, well, it was actually before that.
Well, yeah, that's
So,
right.
The chest burster, cool. Maybe not quite on par with the first one
No.
in terms of, but the first one was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
This one works well though. I mean, we know what's coming. We know she's going to something's going to come out of her.
Of course, yeah.
So we're waiting for it, but it works well when it actually occurs.
Yeah.
And when she looks at, I think it's Ray, is holding her and says, please don't let me die. Like that hits home well.
The part I did like about it was that little fucking scanner that they used.
Yeah.
Where she earlier in the thing, she puts it on her arm and she's like, oh, cool. So we bring that back by her fucking scanning it and just seeing it in there.
Yeah.
That was a nice little
I like
touch.
that. Yeah, nice touch. When Bjorn stun battens the alien sack and then fucking acid blood comes shooting out at him,
Yeah.
that was gross. Like, it was really well played.
Yes.
Using the blood
Bit of gore.
for more than just burning a hole in metal, which is what it's usually for in a lot of these
It's kind of
movies.
prolonged. It puts a big fucking hole in him, but then they fucking show you his hands.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
Just like,
And then it just puts a big hole in his chest, doesn't it?
yeah.
Really
that was
good, really good.
Nasty.
And I really like the fact that we see that, the sack kind of opens and the head kind of goes,
Yeah.
drops out,
Yeah.
and kind of looks around like it does. I thought that was a really cool way to sort of show it for the first time.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with that.
Scene when the xenomorph kills Ray in that room, or doesn't kill her, but
Yeah.
grabs her.
Takes her. And Andy won't open the door.
That really ramps up the stakes. Like, I really like that sequence. It's fucking tense because they're saying, "Open the fucking door, open the door." And she's standing there, and in the
He's just
background, you
watching
can see
Yep.
you can see the bloody thing moving around in the background. And I'm like, it's gonna get her.
Mm.
But then for a few seconds, you think Andy might snap out and do it, open the door for you.
Yeah.
So I like that. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And then when he coldly kind of
Yeah, we
just kind of
can't.
says to
If
them,
we cannot.
I
If we
saved
open
us.
that door, he says,
You know,
if we open
basically,
the door, we all die.
Yep.
And I was like, that was cool. That was cool.
Yep. And it's still, that's where making him like part of her family from the get go, and then fucking just adding that wrinkle
Yeah,
works
nice.
because it's like
'Cause
you are still sitting there thinking he might open it.
But she can't trust him either.
No,
now.
that's right. Yes.
She can't talk him round because he's got. And this is good. Where we are as the audience, we're already aware that he has a new prime directive, but the characters aren't.
No, that's
and
right.
that's where you learn. I've got new directives.
Yep.
So that's cool. And again, I like the fact that it brings that raw sort of terror back to it.
Yeah.
Trapped in a fucking small confined space with this thing that you have no fucking idea what it is, and it's obviously clearly going to kill you.
Yep.
I think that works well. Gearing up with the fucking pulse rifle.
Yeah. Just seeing the
Classic
rifles
stuff.
and seeing, the little him telling you how to use them. I was like,
Oh,
that was
man,
just
I
a
was
tingle
like,
of, let's
boom.
get it on.
This is exactly like very similar to that sequence in Aliens, where he
Yes.
teaches Ripley how to use it.
Yep.
I really like that, but I also like the addition of the little thing that the little back bit that goes. She can reload by using that.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool too. And they tell you right then and there, 450 rounds, one magazine.
Yeah.
That's all you've got, basically.
Yeah. Which was cool.
But I also we're also told, if you fire that weapon in here, acid for blood,
yeah, we're fucked.
we're fucked.
Yep.
So you can't. And what does he say? Then why'd you get us the guns? And Andy says,
Maybe
it won't come straight at you.
head on. Yeah.
Yeah. Thought that was cool.
And then they kind of look at him and say, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that was good. I like that. I also liked one of the parts I did like about the black fluid, what do they call it? Prometheus fire or whatever it was called. How he's explaining it as like an evolution, and they show the video of the rat.
Yes.
But then as they walk out the door, we pull back to the fucking remains of the rat.
And it's just
and the
fucking,
last little bit playing on the video
Yeah.
of it just fucking going,
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
I thought that was a nice little way to. I mean, we knew it was probably bad news,
yeah.
but just just to show us exactly
What
what
do to
might
it.
be what we might be able to expect. I thought that was pretty good.
Yes. Tyler's death felt real Aliens.
Yeah,
Like I felt some Aliens vibes there when he's
Yep.
dragged up into the rafters, and there's
Yes.
fucking heaps of them just crawling towards him.
Yep.
And then it just absolutely mangles his head. Fucking-
Yeah,
just
does a job.
and punches its little thing through his head.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool because it felt like a couple of those sequences in Aliens,
Yep.
especially the one where the Colonial Marines get caught at the start of Aliens, when they first go in there. And they're hearing the beep, 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 and they don't know where everything is, and then the aliens are coming out of the wall and grabbing them. It felt so much like that, but it was nicely done
Yeah.
in that regard. So I was happy with that.
Yep.
Zero gravity.
Yeah. Loved
Fucking loved
it.
it.
Loved it.
That was super smart.
Well, anyone that's saying, "Oh, there was nothing new about this,"
That's
well,
it.
that was
right
pretty
there.
new. It was
Yeah.
a creative way to take shit that we'd already seen many, many times and just say, "How can we do it? How it hasn't been done before?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
was
thought
it.
it was excellent.
It was an exciting scene. I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty well played, and it kind of continues into the elevator shaft.
But
Like,
also,
once they're past that,
them having to dodge the blood
Yes.
as it hangs in zero gravity.
yeah, and having to expend some rounds to fucking
Yeah, to
you know,
push
use
back
it as,
and
like
around.
propelling,
Yeah,
and
moving
stuff.
them around.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought that was cool. The elevator sequence too. I like that he drops the elevator
Yes.
and it clears them all out.
Yep.
But then she sort of, she thinks she's okay, and then the one that had been holding onto her, has just ducked into a little pocket to avoid it,
Yeah.
and then just sort of slides out again with the drool and shit.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect example of there's nothing new in terms of the monster or anything there. It's just how do you make it fucking exciting?
Yeah.
And it's. I thought they were exciting sequences.
Yeah, agreed. Again, that entire sequence, it goes for about 10 minutes,
Yeah.
is the best scene in the film.
Yeah, I thought that was.
It really
that was
kind of
fair enough.
delivers, and it does some really cool things with the standard alien pieces. And to do that with the blood, which we've never really used, we've used it in, it's been used in many of the movies.
It's always had a similar result. I
Yes.
guess. Yeah.
Whereas this does it differently, which I thought was good. The alien birth.
Nasty.
It's kind of grotesque.
Yes. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yep.
And that thing that comes out.
Yeah.
Shit. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Especially when he starts sniffing her and then going, and his tongue pokes out and then gets a fucking mouth on the end of it.
Especially given it's just a prosthetic. It's. I mean,
It's pretty
that
well
guy-
done, I thought.
I had seen that guy on the on the basketball sort of social media things around a few years ago. He was like
really?
he was like 7'5" when he was a fucking teenager or something. So seeing it there, I actually when I first saw it, I thought, is that fucking basketball kid? And it was. And it's I thought they especially comparing it to like we've seen this before, right? In another form, in fucking Resurrection.
Oh, God.
But this one came out and I was like, exactly like the same thing that you had. I was like, oh, it's a bit creepy.
Well,
and
for
it's
a second, I
kinda
didn't
scary.
expect it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it'll be some sort of alien creature moving, maybe with some humanoid elements,
Yeah.
like a human face or something. And then next thing you know, this fucking thing stands up. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I thought it was a more kind of, I don't know, like a better realized concept of what a human alien kind of hybrid might look like.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
I thought using someone that had his kind of stringy figure, but he's so imposingly tall, it just looked a bit like, it just looked a bit more like what you would imagine the hybrid kind of features might look like. I thought.
And I really like the shot where they've got the coolant gun.
Yeah.
And it
kind of just
drops and
mists
everything
up
and mists up the whole area, and you can just see it sort of moving through the mist as the lights are flashing behind it.
I like that.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Nice touch.
And I also like the way that she gets him out of the ship, kicking over the egg sack with the blood in it, opens up a hole. She's wearing that suit. They both fall through. She grabs hold of the rope or whatever. Like
And
smart
it's
way
like
to
that
end it.
whatever is in there is fucking wearing away at him. It's like fucking sandblasting him kind of, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought that was cool. That was it for me.
Yeah, I think you've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, pretty handy. Dislikes, I think we've talked about the greatest hits angle pretty solidly.
Yeah.
Good points and bad. Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, looking across it, yes, you are seeing the progression from the stuff in Alien to what happens in Aliens. We go from, stun things and no other weaponry and one alien to
aliens.
Aliens, basically. Yeah. So
and
you
we
see
take
a bit
couple
of
of shots from part 3. We take, a plot point from Resurrection. Like you can see it, but the whole package altogether is not bad.
Yes, agreed.
I could have done with the get away from her, you bitch. Probably wasn't required.
Yes.
The moment itself was fine, but when he said the line, it was kind of like,
Well, he pauses for a second. Before he says bitch.
Yes.
It didn't quite hit. And he's sort of almost confused by saying it.
I mean, it was part of, that was kind of, the delivery was in line with sort of his character for the movie.
Agreed.
But
I mean, I could have
didn't
seen
feel-
it more effective maybe from Rain,
Yeah.
but the moment wouldn't, there maybe wasn't a moment that would have allowed it
Yeah.
for her.
Yep.
Character development, apart from Rain and Andy, who I think have a really good balance
Yep.
about the others
It's
are
a bit light.
pretty light. Like, you got your bully kids, you got your fucking pregnant girl, you got the girlfriend. Yeah, like
Especially when there's a hint that Rain and Tyler had a previous relationship.
Yeah.
It just kind of, none of that really.
Nothing really comes of it, does it?
No,
It doesn't
no.
really. He sacrifices himself for them.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like, as you said, it's kind of grotesque. It's kind of like, oh, that's pretty nasty. But there's not like an emotional feel to it.
No. So that stuff's not great.
No.
Probably could have been fleshed out a little bit more. That's one thing that the first two movies have in their favour.
Yeah.
Is that they not only keep up the suspense and terror and shit, and in Aliens' case, the action, but they do a really good job of making the characters someone that we want around. I mean, for example, Aliens, even someone like Burke. Oh, no, sorry, not Burke. Who's the guy? Gorman. The guy who runs the crew.
Yes.
He's barely in it. He gets hit on the head. But when he dies, you kind of feel it.
Yeah.
When him and Vasquez are in the fucking pipes.
Yep.
You know? So that's probably missing here.
Yeah. And it's sort of, you know, one of my dislikes here is it's kind of an extension of it, I guess. Beyond, even with the motivation of having like parents killed by a synth, it's just really one note.
Yeah.
Like the parts where...
It's a lot of yelling and a lot of fucking, you know, pushing and shit. And...
The parts where they play with his mistrust and where you could have sort of got something out of it, like when he gets into the ship and the others are out there with Andy, it's sort of lost amongst the parts earlier on that are overdone where he's just a raging prick.
Yeah.
Like it kind of gets lost in it.
Needed to give it a little bit more nuance that he didn't trust the synth.
Yes,
Very
correct.
similar to Ripley not trusting Hendrickson.
Yeah.
That kind of angle could have worked.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I don't want to be around this thing.
Yep.
I'm begrudgingly having him here.
Yes.
Because you and him are connected.
Yep.
Right? That could have worked a little better because he's very fucking one note early.
Very.
Like he's just
and when they say why, it still doesn't hold because I just think the performance is you're just yelling shit at him. You're not.
Yeah.
You don't really. There's not really a chance to show it fucking hurt that he's got or something like that. You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Again, I did not have a problem with Ian Holm per se.
No.
And I'm not 100% sure if the effects were meant to be a little bit shaky because he was like a projection or whatever he was. No, he was there, wasn't he?
He was there, yeah. He was a real synthetic.
Okay, so it was pretty, like, that's when you kind of, a little bit of the effects didn't work.
I think it was supposed to, they said it was fixed up for Disney. Like, by the time it got to Disney Plus, I think there was word that it was fixed up.
Right.
Didn't look all that fixed. But also, it's not so bad.
No.
Like, it's not so bad that it fucking ruined the film for me.
No,
some
it was
people
just,
have kind
it
of
was
said.
just the least successful effect that they had.
Yeah, probably.
But it wasn't fucking awful or anything. Like,
No.
it's not like I couldn't tell who it was. Or,
No, that's right.
So, you know, got to look at it in those terms.
Yep.
There's some moments where it's a little dark. A couple of sequences when they're running down a hallway away from the alien initially. Once the big aliens come out, it's a bit hard to tell what's happening.
Too dark?
Too dark. And then there's one particular scene which the darkness kind of takes away a bit of impact, which is when we finally pull back and see that the aliens have fucking taken over the whole hallway.
Yeah.
But it's so dark, I couldn't really
It's really
tell. I
hard to
knew
tell.
what was happening because of
Yeah.
the
It's
music
hard to tell whether it was
swelling.
eggs or whether it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't eggs, it was
Shit
everything,
on
like
the roof
they were all on the roof and
Yeah.
all that shit was there. So just a little bit of lighting issues there. I mean, I know you want that because you want to build the atmosphere of around a dark corner is this fucking thing that you don't know what to do with it. But it was probably too dark in those moments.
Yeah, somewhat.
And my last bit, I just don't think we needed the last jump scare where the humanoid fucking grabs her while they're still hanging out of the bottom of the ship. I feel like, look, the way they did it was so cool and so different. Like, added a nice, just let it go. It's gone. Like it falls through the floor and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
It was sort of unnecessary, but I feel like, I mean, you know, again, hardly a fucking deal breaker.
Yeah. I guess my issue there was that was the part where I felt like there was a little bit of we've seen all this before, of just fucking How do we get rid of the alien? Oh, we fucking
Blow it out the airlock.
We
or
open a
fucking
door,
open
or we make a hole somehow.
Yeah.
I just felt like that was. I like the fact that she used the little fucking sack that it had come out of, but again, it was like, we've seen blowing it out of the airlock a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's essentially, it was just kind of a variation on that overall. I get a little confused on how long it takes these fuckers to grow, Adam. I get confused.
What's the turnaround time?
Yeah, because it seems that movie to movie, it seems a little different. This one was record pace. I mean, the fucking hybrid's fully grown in about fucking 2 minutes.
I know.
Well,
that's why I was expecting a small kind of creature.
Yeah.
Scuttling.
There was a period of growth.
It's on the juice or something. I don't know.
It might have been the black stuff.
Oh.
But that might have been what prompted the...
Because it's fucking 7 foot tall in like 2 seconds.
7'5" in about 2 minutes. Because, it literally is like about 2.5 minutes of screen time from when it kind of bursts out. And then next thing you know, it's this towering fucking thing.
Yeah, agreed. There isn't a lot of...
But even the face hugger
to
getting someone to, we've got a whole alien.
Yeah. Well, in the first movie, it was days, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
He'd eaten,
taking its time,
and then he was sort of he felt. Well, he had the alien on his face, and then it fell off. A face hugger fell off, and he kind of said he was okay. And I think it's a period of time in the first movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a number of hours at least.
Yep. Yeah, I'm confused.
I'm very confused too.
Yeah, it seems like it happens at a pace that fits whatever they need to
and I guess aliens didn't need that because all the colonists had already been taken over.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was all just, that could have happened at any point.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a little bit too quick. Look, it's doesn't matter in the fucking scheme of things. We're getting this thing underway, and so we want the alien in play as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But it varies from film to film.
Okay. Here's my big one.
Oh.
Talking about confusion.
Yeah.
I came out of the cinema the first time fucking toing and froing about this because I thought I'd just as happens and as I just stated, there's a lot of things that confuse me. Adam.
Yes.
I'm walking around in a fucking constant state of confusion. I'm not a smart man. But the relationships in the group. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time out, I came out of the theater saying that child was the mother and father were cousins.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I must have got shit confused along the way.
Have you read Wikipedia?
Well,
yeah,
Adam, I watched closer this time around.
Okay.
Kay refers to Tyler as her brother.
Yes.
When Rain first turns up. She says, well, I know my brother missed you too.
Okay, good.
Tyler refers to Bjorn as his cousin and says, I know my cousin can be a bit of an arsehole. So therefore, Kay and Bjorn are cousins.
Yes.
I came out of it very firmly from the moment where they get back into the ship and Bjorn is trying to save her.
Yeah.
And then when he puts his arm around her face to keep her from screaming, and she turns and looks at him and he gives her a little kind of pat on the side of the head.
Yeah.
They're cousins and they're having a child.
Oh.
So, I mean, look, there would look like there was enough people on the colony that you didn't have to kind of go fucking Game of Thrones with this shit. Like,
yeah.
And so
you did not need to,
So I did a little bit of reading, and I believe Fede Alvarez has confirmed, although it was never stated that, yes, that was the intention, that these two fucking inbreds were... These two people were inbred.
Why?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I don't know what the intention was there, but yeah.
I didn't really pick up on much of that.
So you're confused too.
Well, I just, I didn't look at it closely enough.
So I'll tell you the two moments when Bjorn has been called an arsehole a couple of times, and then she asks, "Who's the father?" and she said, "Oh, just some arsehole from somewhere."
Mm-hmm.
And then the second moment was that when he is desperate to get onto the ship with her, and then kind of grabs her, and they look at each other, and he gives her a little rub on the side of the head.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, I'm a pappy. That's what it said to me. That's what it said.
Yeah. We go to family fucking barbies together, and I'm also the father.
Yeah. So that left me again in a state of confusion as to why. Once I'd confirmed, I think I'm right on this.
Yeah,
I was still confused. As to why.
But that makes no sense because it makes it doesn't. It's not required. I think is how I would look at it. Is it really required to have that?
Feels like it could have. I mean, it gives him the reason to be firm about cutting them off because he's got.
No, but did they have to be cousins? That's what I mean.
No. Well, that's the
shifted it. He's just a mate of mine.
To me, yeah. All he needed to say. I guess that they, some of the things that people have thrown out there was the reason they weren't telling anyone. That's the reason that Tyler didn't know. Or I'm still.
But you still could have gone down that route.
I mean, when I saw it, I kind of burped in my mouth a little bit. Like, oh God. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. No, that's reasonably I guess that was a plot choice or whatever.
Yeah,
scripting.
But
choice.
I guess it also it probably highlights that the group outside of Andy and Rain, that there was probably some work to be done with the rest of the group to bring it to, as you said, something like Aliens, where we were kind of hard in our mouth about just about everyone.
Yes, except Burke.
Yeah, except Burke. Yeah,
good old Burke. Oh, Hudson.
Okay. We're picking favourites now.
Fucking hell, mate. I mean, if I have to take, if it's between Hicks and Hudson gets kicked out.
Yeah. Okay.
Fucking Jesus. All right, that's Alien Romulus. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcast.au. Keep an eye on our Facebook page to see what we're going to cover next. But until then, take it easy, everyone, and we'll catch you later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.